Hello students, welcome to the second lecture on the topic sequence and series. So today we will start with non-decreasing sequence. So what does this non-decreasing sequence mean? This means a sequence this is a representation of sequence is said to be non-decreasing if we have this condition for every n greater than some positive integer capital N. Now for example, if you see the sequence clearly, you can observe that this one is lesser than this 2, then 2 is less than this 3. So it satisfies this condition that an is less than an plus 1. So you can easily see that this is a non-decreasing sequence, or you can also check that an plus 1 minus a of n is equal to n plus 1 minus n, which is equal to 1, which is greater than 0. So this implies that an plus 1 is greater than an. So you can say that this sequence is increasing, or it is a non-decreasing sequence. Now why do we call it non-decreasing? So that we can consider the constant sequences also in it. Like if I suppose a sequence which is a constant sequence, now in this case the equality is holding true, like this an should be less than or equal to an plus 1. Now in this case, this constant sequence, you can see that an is equal to an plus 1 for every n. So this also comes under the non-decreasing, therefore this is also a non-decreasing sequence. Okay, so now let us look on few more definitions. Firstly, bounded above. So I'll write the heading bounded above sequence. So a sequence is said to be bounded from above if there exists a real number m such that an is less than or equal to m for every n, and this number, the number m is called upper bound of sequence an. Now let us see through a diagram that what does the bounded from above sequence mean and what is this upper bound of a sequence. So suppose that I have a sequence. I have already told you how to represent it graphically. Now suppose that I have a non-decreasing sequence, that is the an is less than an plus 1. So I have something like this. Now you can easily see that if I make a line over here, Now all my ANs are below this line M. So this is called as an upper bound of a sequence, so that every AN is lying below this constant M. That is, you can say that AN is less than or equal to M for every N. Then we say that the sequence is bounded above by a constant M. Now this constant, this upper bound is not unique, because if you take another constant, suppose that it is M1, and if you draw a line again, you can see that AN is also less than equal to M1. So this upper bound is not unique. However, the sequence is called as bounded sequence. Now we look for the definition of the least upper bound. So okay, so what does this least upper bound mean? Suppose that if M is a upper bound, you have already seen that if M is a upper bound of sequence, you call it AN, and there is no other number which is less than M, which is also upper bound, then M is called least upper bound. That means that if you have a sequence, suppose that you have a sequence and this is your M. Now if you cannot find any other M which you can draw just below M, such that all of, I call it as M2, such that all of AN you can write it as less than. If you cannot find any M2 which is less than this M, so that you can write AN is less than that value M2, then M is called as a least upper bound. So I hope this is clear that you cannot find any M2 or any other number which is less than this value M, such that you can say that all the ANs are less than that value M2. If it not holds for any other M2, you say that M is a least upper bound. So let us have a more clear picture by taking an example. So consider a sequence this. So clearly you can see that my term will be the term of the sequence will be this, and so on. Now if you find the numerical value, if it is like difficult to observe over here, so you can see that this the numerical value for the sequence is coming out to be this. Now clearly you can see that this number is less than this and this number is less than this, so and this follows for every other number. So you can say that AN is less than AN plus 1. Therefore, this sequence is non-decreasing. Now, check whether this sequence is bounded from above or not. Now, if you find its limit, that is limit n tending to infinity, obviously if it is increasing and we find out the limit, then we can find out the bound also. So if I take limit n tending to infinity and find this, I'll get it as 1, or you can write this as an as so. From this also you can clearly see that an will have all its value, like an will be less than 1. So 1 will be its upper bound, and it will be also its least upper bound. Why I called it as least upper bound? Because if you take any value less than 1, suppose that you take any value, you can say that if we choose any other value less than 1, say you choose very less value, that is which is very near to 1, say 0.9999, then we can still find some an whose values exceeds the value 0.9999. So you cannot say that an is less than or equal to this value. You cannot say it. So this 1 will be your least upper bound also, because you cannot find any other number which is less than and it satisfies this condition also. So therefore 1 is least upper bound and it is unique. Okay, so we will now do an important theorem which is called as an non-decreasing sequence theorem. So let us first see the statement of this theorem. So a non-decreasing sequence of real numbers converges if and only if it is bounded from above and it converges to its least upper bound. Now what does this theorem statement says? That suppose that you are having a non-decreasing sequence. You know already what the non-decreasing sequence means. Then this sequence converges if and only if it is bounded from above. And where will it converge? It will converge to the least upper bound. So it is clear from the picturization also that if you have a non-decreasing and if it is bounded from above, then obviously it will be a convergent sequence and it will converge towards the value least upper bound. So this is the statement of the theorem. So you can use this statement to prove that some sequences are which are non-decreasing sequence that are convergent. You can show it by proving that it is bounded from above. So that sequence will be convergent. So let us take an example. So this says that test the convergence or divergence of the sequence an is equal to this for n from 1 to and so on by using non-decreasing sequence theorem. So you have to use the statement of this theorem to prove the convergence or divergence. Till now you have seen that you can find out the limit, and if limit exists and it is unique, you can say that the sequence is convergent. But now you have to use a non-decreasing sequence theorem. Now for using the non-decreasing sequence theorem, first you have to see that whether this is increasing, that is non-decreasing sequence or not. So first step is to check the sequence is non-decreasing or not. You need to check. So since you can see that an is 5n plus 1 and an plus 1 will be equal to, just I'll write n plus 1 in place of n, I'll get an plus 1. So this is my an plus 1, and if I subtract an plus 1 minus of an, I'll get just after some calculation I am getting this, and you can easily see that this value is greater than 0 for every n greater than or equal to 1. What does this imply? This will imply that an plus 1 is greater than an. So therefore this sequence is non-decreasing. So first step you have done that, okay, this the given sequence is non-decreasing. Now you have to prove that it is, if it is bounded from above, then you can say that this sequence converges. So let us see that whether it is bounded from above or not. So the next you will see that bounded above or not. So you can quickly find the limit and say the bound of this sequence. So if you find the limit, my limit is this, which will be equal to now you can clearly see that the limit is equal to 5. This implies that an will be less than 5 for every n. So this sequence, therefore the sequence is bounded above by 5. Or you can use the other method also, that you can write this an as this. Now from this also you can observe that the maximum, like this is the 5 will be its upper bound, and obviously it will be its least upper bound. So from this also you can see that an is less than 5. So it is clear that it is bounded from above. Now since you can write that an, which is your sequence, is non-decreasing, and second it is bounded above. So what does this mean? That this implies that the sequence an is convergent. By the statement of the theorem you just saw that if it is non-decreasing and it is bounded, then it will be convergent. Now let us see one another example. So next example is, suppose that I gave you this, and again you need to find out whether this sequence is convergent or not. So now I want to see that this is increasing or decreasing by the concept of calculus. So I can also write a function like this. and you can easily see that f of n, I can say it as a of n, which is equal to 3n plus 1 n plus 1. Now if I find the derivative of this function, which will be equal to, now this is greater than 0, and what does this imply? This implies that the function is increasing. That means, so the fx, you already know by the calculus, like if f dash x is greater than 0, this implies that function is increasing. So this implies that an is non-decreasing. This is another way of showing that the sequence is non-decreasing. And then the next step we need to do is that check whether it is bounded or not. So second step to check bounded or not. So again, you know that if you find the limit, you will get, because since it is increasing, and if you get a finite limit, then obviously it will be bounded by that limit. So this will be, so you can say this implies that an is less than 3 for every n, or you can again write this an, which is equal to 3n plus 1 plus this for every n. This also implies the same, or just to convince yourself that okay, since the function is increasing, or you can say the sequence is increasing and the limit is coming to be finite, then obviously this will be its upper bound, and this sequence is bounded from above. And other way is to see that you can write this sequence in this form. This is also showing that your an will be less than or strictly less than 3 for every n. So this is again a bounded sequence, and hence by the statement of the theorem, and hence the sequence an will be convergent by non-decreasing sequence theorem. Hope this theorem is clear. So now we will do an important theorem which combines the two convergent sequences, so that you can find out the limit of the sequence, which are combination of two convergent sequences. So let us see the statement. Firstly, the statement of the theorem, that if you have two sequences an and bn, these are two sequences of b2 of real numbers, and let a and b are two real numbers such that an converges to a and bn converges to b. That means if you find the limit of an as n tends to infinity, it is approaching towards this number, and if you find the limit n tending to infinity bn, it is approaching towards this number capital B. Now this theorem says that then this following will hold true. So we have a sum rule. This is limit n tending to infinity. If you combine two sequences which are convergent sequence, then you will get a convergent sequence that will be equal, that will converge towards the value a plus b. Now the difference rule, this is limit n tending to infinity an minus bn, this is equal to a minus b. Again you take two sequences that is converging towards two different, and if you subtract, the whatever you get is A minus B. So the next is product rule. So this says that this will be equal to A dot B, and fourth is constant multiple rule. That is, if you multiply the convergent sequence with a constant multiple, then it will converge towards the value this. And the last one is quotient rule. That is, you have two convergent sequences, and then if you divide them, you will get a convergent sequence provided B is not equal to 0. So let us use the theorem result for looking the limit for some sequences which are the combination of two convergent sequences. So the question is, check the convergence or divergence of the following sequence. Suppose that you have this sequence. Okay, now you want to see whether this sequence converges or diverges. So what do? You take out the limit. So if I take out the limit, so this is equal to limit n tending to infinity to since you know that this and this sequence, if you consider it individually, this is a convergent sequence, this is also a convergent sequence. So this entire sequence will converge towards, suppose that this is going towards A, this is going towards B. So the entire sequence will have its convergence to A minus B. So I'll find out this A and I'll find out this B. So you already know that this will have the limit as 0, since this value is less than 1, and this will also go towards 0 since 1 by 3 is less than 1. So the ultimately this sequence will converge towards the value 0, and therefore this is a convergent sequence. I'll write down the result, how this is 0 and how this is 0. I'll just, for the quick brush up, like the sequence Rn converges if R is less than, like it is in between -1 to 1, and if it is equal to 1, then it will converge to 1, and diverges for all other values of R. That is, if you find the limit Rn, you will get 0 and 1 if R is in between -1 to 1, and you will get the value 1 if R is equal to 1. So I have used this result to say that the value will converge towards 0, and this is obviously R is less than 1, so this value will also converge to 0. So my sequence will converge to the value 0. Now next example. Now if I want to find out the convergence or divergence of this sequence, So I'll find out the limit which is equal to, if you take n to the power 6 as common, you will get this. Now you find out the limit of this and the limit of this, then this sequence will converge suppose to value a and b, so my entire sequence will converge towards the value a by b provided b is not equal to 0. So you can check that a is equal to, that the top limit will be equal to -7 and the denominator limit will be equal to 1. So this will be the value to which this sequence converges. Now just I'll take another example, example 3. So this is, suppose that you have this sequence now you want to find out whether it is convergent or divergent. So what we need to do is to find out the limit, and this will obviously be the limit of this sequence into the limit of this sequence. Suppose that this limit of this sequence is a and the limit of this sequence is b. So I will find out a and b and multiply, so I will get the limit of this total sequence, entire sequence. So limit n tending to infinity, and obviously this will be equal to 1. Now this limit will have two values depending upon that whether n is even or odd. So this will be -1, so the limit n tending to infinity will be equal to -1 if n is even and 1 if n is odd. Now you can see that the limit of an is not unique and therefore it is not convergent or it diverges. Therefore since limit is not unique, the sequence an diverges. Okay, so now we will again do an important theorem to find out the limit of the sequence easily. So this is called as a sandwich theorem for sequences. So let us look on the statement. It says that this is theorem. So if you have three sequences an, bn and cn are sequences of real numbers and an is less than equal to bn is less than or equal to for every n greater than capital N. This means that the condition should hold for, like if the condition does not hold for some finite values of n, then it doesn't mean that the sandwich theorem is invalid. So if it is true for n greater than, if you find a positive integer and this condition holds true, then this sandwich theorem is applicable. So if this condition holds and if limit n tending to infinity an is equal to L and which is also equal to the limit of C of n, then the limit of n tending to infinity Bn will be also equal to L. That means that this an is converging to value L and Cn is also converging to the value L, then the sequence Bn, this middle sequence, will also converge to the value L. That's why it is called as sandwich theorem, that the two sequences is converging to the same limit L, then the middle sequence will also converge to the same limit L. So this was a sandwich theorem. So there is one important corollary of this theorem. I'll write it back. So corollary of this theorem is that if mod of Bn is less than Cn, then, and you have this Cn that is converging to 0, then Bn also converges to 0. You can see easily that Cn, if Cn converges to 0, because this will say that Bn is, from this I can write Bn is less than Cn minus of Cn. Now if Cn converges to 0, obviously minus of Cn will also converge to 0, then the middle sequence will also converge to the value 0. So now let us use this result for seeing the limit of some sequences. So this is our first example. Find the limit of the following sequences while an is this. Now you want to find out the limit of this sequence. So, and we want to use a sandwich theorem. So you can see that if I take the mod of this will be less than or equal to 1 by n, because sin n has its maximum value at 1. So I can write it as this. Now you already know that the limit of this sequence is 0. So by the sandwich theorem, this sequence will also converge to the value 0, and therefore also converges to 0. Now let us see another example of this sandwich theorem. Suppose that you have this and you want to find out the limit for this sequence. So you will find out the limit, and you can do that by considering, now you can see that since an is equal to, and which is less than 1 by n, so again you know that this sequence will converge to 0, and therefore by sandwich theorem your sequence this will also converge to 0. So with the help of the sandwich theorem you can easily find out the limit of some sequences. Now we will move further to another theorem that is called as continuous function theorem for sequences. Okay, so let's write down the statement. Let an be a sequence of real numbers, and if this sequence converges to a value L, and if f is a function which is continuous at L and defined at all an, then this result will hold true. Then this sequence will converge towards f of L. Now see that this an is converging to value L, and function f should be defined and continuous at L. Then you can say that f of an will converge towards the value f of L. So let us make this statement more clear with the help of an example. Find the limit of sequence Okay, so you want to find out the limit of this sequence. So if you write this, now what you can do is that you can consider this one as another sequence an, and then find the limit of this sequence an. So you can see that the limit of sequence an will converge to pi by 2. Now we have to see that whether f of pi by 2 is continuous and defined or not. In this case my f is sine function. So I see that sine of pi by 2 is continuous and it is well defined. So I can apply this theorem, continuous function theorem, to find out the limit of the desired sequence. That is, if my an converges to value L, then the entire sequence will converge to the value f of L. So this will converge towards the value sine of L, because this is f and L is what? L is where this an is converging. This is L. So this will be pi by 2. So the limit for this sequence will be equal to sine of pi by 2, which will be equal to 1. Okay. So now we will see another question which is a bit different from this, and it asks that can we try continuous function theorem for sequence an which is equal to, so can we apply this continuous function theorem to find the limit of this sequence? This is the question. So just first of all have a look on this, that you want to find out the limit of this using the continuous function theorem. Now if you consider this as an and you can see that an will converge towards value 0, and your f in this case is log function. Now you can easily see that ln of 0 is not defined. So we cannot apply the continuous function theorem to find the limit of this sequence, because see the statement of the theorem, it says that if an converges to value L and f is a function that should be continuous and defined at value L, but in this case log of 0 is not defined, so therefore we cannot apply continuous function theorem for sequence ln 1 by n. So you must be very careful about when you apply this, that the function should be defined at the point L. Now you can find the limit by other methods, like you can write this limit n tending to infinity ln 1 by n as equal to ln 1 minus ln of n, and if you find the limit you will see that it is infinite, and therefore you can say that this function sequence is divergent, because the limit is coming to be infinity, and therefore we will say that this sequence is diverging. Now there are many problems where you want, like you can apply the L'Hopital rule, but due to some we cannot find the derivatives of the sequences, so we cannot directly apply the L'Hopital rule to find out the limit of certain sequences. So there is one theorem to make this possible. Let us see the statement of that theorem that allow us to use the L'Hopital rule for finding the value of the limit for our sequences. So let us have a look on that theorem. So it says that given a sequence an, if we have a function f of x such that f of n is equal to a of n and limit n tending to infinity f of x is equal to L, then limit n tending to infinity an will be equal to L. So with the help of this theorem you can apply the L'Hopital rule to find out the limit of some sequences. So let us see a few examples. Find the limit of sequence this. Now if you see, if you want to find out the limit of this, technically we cannot do the derivatives when we deal with the sequences, so we can apply this above theorem to find out the limit for this particular sequence or other sequence where you want to find the derivatives or you want to apply the L'Hopital rule to find the limit. So in this you can define f of x, which is ln x and 2x, and find the limit of this function which will be equal to the limit of this sequence also. This is the statement of the theorem also, that if we have some function such that f of n is equal to a of n, then if limit of fx goes to this value L, then the sequence also have this limit L. So our task is to find out the limit of this, which is ultimately will give the limit of this sequence. So let us write limit n tending to infinity So I am applying the L'Hopital rule and finding the derivatives both in the numerator and denominator, and this will be equal to 1. So therefore the sequence, you can easily see that this sequence will converge because the limit is finite and unique, and therefore the sequence an will be convergent. Okay, so the next example is that if you have Bn, which is this. Now again you know that to find the limit, this is again infinity by infinity form. So you can apply the L'Hopital rule with the help of the statement of the previous theorem. So I can find the limit of this with, if I consider a function which is equal to a of n. So I will write it directly. So I differentiate it, find the derivative of this function which is equal to this, which is infinite, and therefore I will say the sequence diverges to infinity. So you have seen till now that how you can find out the limit of the sequences by the different theorems, but the main task was that you want to find out the limit so that you can say whether the sequence is converging or diverging. So all theorems till now what we have done is based on that only, that how we can find out the limits of different sequences of different forms. So lastly I want to say that please do this exercise (8.1) and 8.2 from book Thomas and Finney for the topic which I covered today. Thank you.